Hey everyone, I'm excited to talk about this. This video is a little overdue. We're going to talk about the Blitz by Chance. I received a hardware kit from Out of Darts to build one of these. I printed my own parts and assembled it. I actually did it in these colors because I gave this one to my daughter as a gift for when we play in local games.
This is really nice.
That's good because I made it for you.
What? Thank you, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank
I hope you like the colors.
I love the colors. It's so pastel-y and I just, thank you.
I got a kit from Out of Darts. You want to empty out that mag too? Then
Sure.
I'm going to go get changed for the movie.
I'm gonna aim for the E. That was not the E.
Oh, that was the E.
That was the L. I like how it's single shot.
Semi-auto is kind of better most
It
of the time.
makes me feel like I can actually...
And you're not just mowing through all your ammo.
I love it. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. The Blitz is a solenoid power semi-auto blaster. Solenoids are great for pushers. They're heavy, they're clacky, they're really fun. They are kind of expensive. It takes Talon magazines and it works really well. This one was set up with lower power motors, so it hits around 100 FPS. But it's pretty snappy. As fast as I pull that trigger, I get a 100 FPS dart flying out, which is perfect for casual games. In fact, I like the Blitz so much that I went and built the other blaster by Chance that uses a mechanical pusher, the Freerunner. I did this in matching colors and also gave this one to my daughter. The difference with this one, it works the same way. It's one two-stage trigger, but you have a mechanical arm that pushes a dart into the flywheels instead of an expensive solenoid pusher. It would have a spring right here, but here's how it works. You pull back like this. This lever here makes this pusher go forward, and then a spring that would be behind this trigger makes it go back when you release it. And here's what that pusher looks like. This works really well too, and I have it set up to fire darts at 100 FPS. What I love about these blasters is it took me back to how much I fell in love with the Nightingale with its two-stage trigger that you could just hand to somebody and it was simple and intuitive, and you could snap off shots as fast as you pulled the trigger. I will say with the Freerunner, with the low powered motors, you do want to not go too quickly. If you spam that trigger as fast as you can see a bit of a dip. But it's very easy to give it a little pre-rev or just not pull that trigger super fast. Still a great option and much cheaper to build because it doesn't have that solenoid. So I enjoyed building these so much and I gave them away and I thought maybe I'll build myself a couple. So I did. I built myself a Blitz and a Freerunner V2. Turns out when I built that other Freerunner, it was a V1. But kind of cool to compare. Really, the main differences is some differences in the trigger assembly, and the overall length of the Freerunner V2 was reduced to kind of make it more similar to the Blitz. The Freerunner V1 is still a pretty fun blaster. I have no complaints with it either. Just some minor quality of life improvements and some extra spacing to make building it a little easier. I also built my set with Lokis. Instead of cheaper 130 motors, I used the more expensive Lokis, so I'm getting better FPS and a snappier response out of the Freerunner. I can actually spam the trigger a little bit more on the Freerunner with the Lokis than I could with the cheaper motors, which makes sense. With the Loki motors, I'm actually getting 130 FPS as opposed to 100 with the other set. Now, kind of a cool feature about these blasters is the cage is fairly easily swappable. In fact, I made an extra cage with low power motors in case I wanted to swap them into mine. It uses bullet connectors to make it kind of easy. Now, here's a few kind of drawbacks. Overall, I would highly recommend these as blasters to build. I love that there's not a ton of parts. You can build one of these fairly quickly. It would be fairly easy for a beginner, especially the Freerunner, because you're not doing all the extra wiring of the solenoid and a second switch. Hardware kits definitely make it easier because you're not sourcing a bunch of pins and screws and all that. I'll have links in the description for those hardware kits or full kits, etc. Here's a couple drawbacks that I did notice from both of these blasters. I found the room inside of these to be really tight, like too tight. Oh my goodness, this was hard to close up. I know we're trying to keep it minimal, But my Blitz, I'm actually gonna have to take it apart. I have a seam there that I cannot close. And I'm just gonna have to open it up and shave down some material to get everything to fit. And I know it's possible to get it to fit, and I could be more careful, I guess, but I also feel like we could have just like added a couple millimeters here and there, and this would have went from kind of a frustrating thing to close up at the end to just being a joy from start to finish to build. The Freerunner is a little better. The Freerunner V2, I have it all sealed down because we actually had bigger wire channels and it made that a lot easier. I will say with the V2, I'm gonna have to open it back up again. I found the trigger mechanism on the V1 more dependable than the V2. I have had this trigger once or twice if I'm really spamming. I didn't recreate it there, but I have had it stick. So I'm just gonna have to open it up, lubricate it, see if there's any little bit of PLA or anything that's in the wrong place. But overall, I'm sure with a little bit of tinkering, these will be absolutely perfect. But yeah, a little bit more room is always nice. They do have really big battery compartments, and I always appreciate that. Something with the Freerunner V2 that I think is kind of weird. Of all the versions, the Freerunner V1, V2, the Blitz, the Freerunner V2 uses a slightly different cage. So it can't actually swap cages from my Freerunner V1 to my V2 or from my Blitz to my V2. So that's a little bit annoying because I made this as kind of an extra generic set that I could take down either of the blasters because 130 or so is too hot for HVZ. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just make a spare set. But this is only good for my Blitz, not for my Freerunner V2. I'd have to make a separate cage and a whole other spare one for that. So just a little nitpick. I'm not sure why it has a different cage. Check the comments below in case I've missed something obvious. Maybe I grabbed the wrong file off of GitHub. Check that first comment or check the comments in general. Someone might have a correction for me. And if they do, I'll correct myself. Look for it there because I don't want to critique something that might be my fault. Overall, these are really, really great blasters. I'm super happy with them. I will say the mag compatibility amongst all my Talons is great. It seems a little iffy. I haven't tested it with all my different types of mags because I have so many Talon mags. But the Dart Zone mags don't really fit. With some sanding in the magwell, they probably would. I don't know that it's a geometry thing. I just think it's too tight. I'm not going to do that because I don't have to. I use mostly clear Talons because that's what I like. So just something to keep in mind if you have a bunch of these type of mags, you might want to do some sanding around the magwell. If I force this in, never look down the barrel like this. No, I actually can't get it to latch. And I don't want to break my blaster. What have I done? So yeah, I don't know if it would fit. I'm not willing to do a bunch of sanding on this. Check that first comment. Some other creators or other people might weigh in. I'll check and see if with some sanding, this would work just fine. Honestly, even my Talons are a little tight. Now, some of that could be a tolerance thing. So maybe a little bit of sanding in there wouldn't hurt anyway. I don't mind it being a little snug as long as it's not something where I'm reefing on it. I don't need it to gravity drop. So the Blitz and the Freerunner. Lots of great things to say here from me. I'm gonna turn the camera around, show you a little bit of shooting demos. 100 FPS Blitz. Super accurate. A magwell is tight. A little bit of sanding wouldn't be bad. And 100 FPS Freerunner V1. Also accurate. You do see a bit of a dip when I spam. Check this out. Not bad though. Aiming for the garage hinge, Freerunner V2. Aiming for the garage hinge, the Blitz. Super accurate. And that pretty much ties it up. Go check out those links. If you're looking to get into the hobby or looking to build a really simple sidearm for yourself, can't go wrong with these. Your biggest question is gonna be, should I build it with Krakens from out of darts so I'm getting around 100 or so? Or should I build it with Lokis to get around 130? And that really depends on what you're gonna use these for. Or maybe you get a set of both and you build that spare cage. I will definitely say, if I didn't like these, there's no way I would have built 4 of them. One last little thing, the Solenoid really gives the Blitz a nice hefty feel. It's just Solenoids are expensive. So it's driving up the cost of your blaster. But if you're only going to build one, I'd probably lean towards the Blitz. That clackiness is just too fun.